Welcome.
Good.
This is the November 15th meeting of the Wallingford Zoning Board of Appeals. I'd like to start the meeting by saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight's decisions will be published in the Record Journal on Friday, November 19th, 2021. The effective date of your variance will be Friday, November 19th, 2021. The date a certified copy is recorded on the land records. The statutory 15-day appeal period will expire on Sunday, December 5th, 2021. If you commence operations and/or construction during the appeal period, you do so at your own risk. Voting tonight is Sam Carmody, Tom Wolfer, Karen Harris, Ray Rise, and myself, Joe Russick. First application is 21-029, variance request for a Kowalczyk for 1340 Warwin Hill Road. Staff comments are, applicant seeks front yard of 43.2 feet where 75 feet is required, and a side yard of 23.9 feet where 40 feet is required, and a building coverage of 7.9% where 5% max is permitted to construct a new single-family dwelling at 1340 Warwin Hill Road in an RU 120 district. The parcel is non-conforming vacant lot with respect to lot coverage, lot area, and frontage. Parcel also has identified wetlands and will require wetlands permitting and health department permit for septic before any construction may commence. ZBA has the determination strictly for the building and its location on the parcel. Though the parcel is non-conforming, the building envelope is sufficient to accommodate a home without requiring both front and side yard setbacks. Alternate designs, such as two-story versus ranch style, or orienting the structure parallel to the street, would either reduce or eliminate the need for variance approval. The application submission lacks building plans and elevations, therefore preventing the review of particular alternatives for compliance. Since options do exist for further or complete compliance, this office would compel the board to discern any hardship. Application has been presented without necessary wetlands and health approvals, which may hinder any construction following any potential ZBA. We have correspondence from the Inland Wetlands, the Health Department, and we have a letter from, it was just here, I believe, oh, it's right here, from John Kraniak at 1349 Warwin Hill Road, all submitted on the record. Who's here for application 21-029? Come on up, please. Welcome. Please pull the microphones close to you so we can hear you, and state your name and address for the record.
My name is Joseph Kowalczyk. Live at 1161 South Broad Street. The address is for 1340 Warwin Hill.
Hold the microphone a little bit closer to you. There you go. Thank you. And you?
I'm Colleen Morgan, and I reside at 1161 South Broad Street, Wallingford, Connecticut.
Thank you. Please explain your application.
Yes, we're, she's the owner of the property, and we were going to build a house there for her and her fiance, and her fiance, he became handicapped. So the reason why we're getting the coverage, asking for the coverage is for, handicap accessibility, a lot of, first floor design. And we also tried to set up a different arrangement, but due to the septic, we were digging different areas, and the only spot is where it's shown on the plan. There were 6 other holes dug. We can't really move the building in different ways to let it sit where we were approved. That Giuliano's gonna do the engineer plans for that septic. So we're asking for that side, and that it's unconformative too. 5% land coverage there is pretty small for even a 2-story house there. So that's where we're asking for the lot coverage there.
Okay, well, one of the problems I have is that we don't have any, other than this architectural or the A2 survey, we don't have anything that would show us what you're building.
We weren't even going to go to that phase unless we knew we could get, you know, the side setbacks and all that, you know, for our building plan through our architect. You know, we wanted the footprint down, and I was discussing with Giuliano's thinking this was okay, and they told me move forward, so I was going with their behalf too for the zoning, you know, before we, you know, put any more money into it and all that. You know, make sure we can build this and make it accommodating for us.
Right, well, when we're looking at plans like this, and you're coming in front of us, and then you're saying that the gentleman is handicapped, and you want to make it handicap accessible, which we're all for, and we're not against at all. But we'd like to see some sort of plans, so we know, all right, there's no other option to do something different on this property where you wouldn't need the setbacks.
If I gave you the plans to what we were drawing with that footprint, that wouldn't really change what we're looking at, though. I'm asking, what I'm trying to get to is I don't understand
Right,
how,
but I understand where you're going.
Yeah.
But when we see a plan, we might look at it and go, well, what if you move this over here? And, because a lot of times we see people come in front of us,
Yep.
and it's their wishes, not what they actually legally can do. Not
Okay.
saying that's what you're doing, but we get
Right.
that a lot.
okay,
So my point is if we see it a lot, when, people come up, they put plans in front of us, and then we see what, okay, this is what you wish to do, but legally, if you did this here or this here, you would fit that on your property without asking for setbacks or for the coverage variance. So we're always looking to lay out less variances where we can. So that's the reason why I was asking, to see if you had any plans.
okay. Yeah, we didn't push forward for a full architectural design to that yet. That was like the base of the footprint, how we were going to move it around. You know, we did try several different ways, but that's where we fit between the septic and, for the first floor, with the, that side where it jogs out, that L shape sort of, that 45, that's the garage attached, so he could turn in there. If it was at like a complete 90, it really wouldn't give us the room inside that envelope. So we were trying to spin it, and especially with the wetlands being approved there, it's going to be, keeping us off to that setback to the left of the print there. Our wetlands is right there off to the right side. Everything pushes us uphill there. And the rest of the land, there's like a topograph on there showing how there's a hill that goes way far back down, so the conformative of it, it was really tough to fit it in, especially with the square footage for the, first floor for handicap accessibility. It was really tough to really switch it all around. We were trying to go last month too for this, but we set back, trying to think of this, and we missed out on paperwork, so it gave us more time to even think, and it's really what we're seeing.
Now, how many square foot home are you trying to?
It's proposed, I forget what they put on there, but we're looking at like 2,500 square foot or less. We're just seeing what our setbacks are, so
Without the garage,
that's
right?
without,
Yeah.
I believe so,
Yeah.
because we're not even
It's the
having.
garage that kind of puts us over. I mean, it all has to be on the first floor. So he's in a wheelchair, and he's not going to be able to go upstairs at all. So we can't do like a second story. So to have just 2,000 square feet with, including the garage, is just,
Yeah.
everything has to be open floor plan, ADA compliance, the
I-
wider doorways,
I understand
everything.
all that.
Yeah.
I do. Has anybody got any questions for the applicant? Ray?
Now, the home that you're planning to build, there's been discussion, something about, the property is pretty wet, and is this home gonna have a basement?
We were going to try to, where the garage part is, no, obviously, that's a garage. It's going to be like almost a half basement on the, where it's sit there, it's on the hillside where it's not wet. You know, the whole left side front is where it's dry. It's wet, you know, down the hill by the wetland spot.
Now, this property is to the east of the vineyards, right?
Yeah, the vineyards were,
And it's in the gully?
so, yeah, it's right at that hill, right next to the farm with the silo.
Right.
It's right next to there, yep.
Okay, that's all I have.
You know, and like I was saying before too, that, you know, it was pre-zoning when this was decided. It's a small 1 acre lot. You know, RU 120 is like a 5 acre minimum. So it's really pushes us down with the sidelines, and also we're trying our best here to make everything work.
Amy, do you have anything to add to this?
I just want to make a point of clarity for a variance request of any nature, and I did request of the applicant to supply building plans, and it didn't have to be blueprint level. And the reason is to convey the structure. There's nothing to convey a foundation of what you're building. Secondly, when we're making a determination, the board is making a determination to grant or not grant a variance, it's on a particular project. It's not a general, and it does make a difference if something is 1 story, 10 feet away, or 2. So it has to be particular. So that being missing, it is important. It doesn't have to be to the level of the materials you're using or where a particular window is going, but that does need to be included because or just the square footage was referenced, 2,000 or so. It needs to be exact when you're requesting a variance. That's the only thing the variance applies to, that exact project. So we do need to be clear, so just make sure we have some clarity on that. There's no separation with this plan, identifying what portion is the garage. We do see the proposed driveway apron, so one can surmise, but those kinds of things are important because the variance is not, I want to build a house and I want to be 15 feet away. It's what would you like to be 15 feet away? And certainly a ranch is, and accommodations for accessibility are of course taken into account. And they don't require variances for ramps and things, just so you know, if they encroach on setbacks. But they do need to see what the project is, and a box and a map doesn't necessarily convey it. So that's again, the board has the determination if you have, but just to be a little clarity that the variance is particular. So.
Thank you. After hearing that, does anybody have any questions or? I know I would like to see a set of plans before I move forward with this. I don't know, in discussion, how about anybody else?
I agree, Mr. Chairman. I think that we need to see something on paper to show all these particular variances that you are asking for. And without that, we can't make a determination.
Okay.
Sorry?
We continue, is there a way I could continue this for the following without going through all these others, or do I have to reapply?
No, hold on one second.
All right.
Sam, you had a
I
comment?
was just going to echo what was said before, and I would recommend that you postpone and come back instead of us voting tonight. I think that would be in your best interest.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Karen, do you have anything you want to say? Ray? Good? Okay. So we can continue it, but the next meeting we have is in January.
It is. Okay.
So, I mean,
It is what it is.
right, exactly. That's my advice to you.
So you'd like to see elevations of like roof line and stuff?
We'd like to see what you're planning on building. So it would
Okay.
give us an idea, and you can say,
Right.
this is what we're going to build, this is how many square feet it is, this is what it's going to look like from this angle, this is what it's going to look like
Okay.
on this piece of property. So we can look at it and go, okay, I can understand why they did this, this, and this.
Gotcha.
And then we can say, well, we agree or we don't agree. I mean, right now, we're, like
Right.
Amy said, we're approving, you can
Something
go up
that
and
you have
build
no
anything you
idea.
want.
Okay,
And-
yeah,
and
my
we're-
first time through this, I wasn't sure how
No
this.
problem, we understand
Oh.
that. So you're okay with continuing to January 18th meeting?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, point
Yes.
of order, just to advise the applicant, you do not need to re-notify.
No?
The public hearing has been open, so this is a continuation. So you just supply the materials for the board to evaluate, and you'll be on the agenda in January.
So can somebody make a motion to continue, please?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to continue, Kowalczyk on Irwin Hill Road.
Second.
Okay, voting to approve a continuation, Sam Carmody,
Yes.
Tom Wolfer,
Yes.
Karen Paris,
Yes.
Ray Rise,
Yes.
and I vote yes too. So we'll see you in January.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't throw your things away.
Yeah, everybody keep their paperwork except Sam. Okay, next application is 21-030, variance request for Zheng for 600 Williams Road. Staff comments are, applicant seeks side yard of 15.5 feet where 30 feet is required to erect a 22.7 foot by 28.3 foot attached garage at 600 Williams Road in an RU40 district. Existing dwelling is oriented diagonally on the parcel. Parcel is an hourglass shape with minimum width at location of dwelling. Parcel building area has 60% width at the location of the dwelling, then width along the front boundary. Foundation for the proposed garage is existing. Options exist to locate a detached garage of the same size in compliance with zoning regulations and eliminating the need for variance approval. Foundation for the proposed attached garage was erected in 2020 without seeking any variance approval and therefore does not contribute to a hardship for the board's determination process. And staff, we have some correspondence. We have a letter from 604 Williams Road. We have from, one more here. And I believe the Health Department. Welcome.
Good evening.
Please state your name and address for the record.
For the record, my name is Christopher Giuliano. I'm a licensed land surveyor and professional engineer. I maintain an office at 405 Main Street in the Yalesville section of town. I'm here this evening representing the applicant, Ms. Zhang, with respect to the variance for the attached garage. Just to give you a little history, my office surveyed this piece of property for Ms. Zhang back in 2017. At that time, we just established the boundaries for her, and then we were brought back in 2020, and lo and behold, there's a foundation for a proposed garage. As I think you're well aware, there is a bit of a language barrier between us and Ms. Zhang. English is not her first language, so I know there's been some difficulty with her communicating with town staff, because she originally came in with respect to this, I think in a variance earlier in the year, withdrew that application, and then she approached my office to come and try to facilitate. So that's what I'm here tonight. Again, what Ms. Torrey explained about the lot geometry, with it being an hourglass, the width being very narrow where the house is, and where this house is kind of oriented on the lot, is very unusual. Doesn't make a lot of sense. This lot was actually created back in 1977, and if you look at the subdivision for these various lots, they have all different weird angles in the lots. Instead of just doing 150 by the depth, one lot's 100, widens out, narrows back. This lot looks like an hourglass. You know, I've been doing this for long enough. I couldn't figure out why they made these lots in these various shapes, but that's what we're dealing with now. Again, the house is oriented at a weird angle to the front property line. If it had been more parallel, we might have been able to squeeze a garage in without needing a variance, but that just isn't the case. I did put a map up on the easel, and on the south side of the house, I drew a red box. Hopefully some of you can see it. It isn't very dark, but that would be the same size garage on the south side of the building. And as you notice, I'd be over the setback if we were to put the garage on that side as well. So no matter what type of attached garage we put on this house, we would need a variance. Ms. Torrey obviously pointed out that if we wanted to do something different, like put a detached garage in the back of the property, we probably wouldn't need a variance. That is true. Problem is, in the back of the property, topography falls off. We have a well back there that we have to be considerate of. So these are all existing conditions that are at no fault of Ms. Zhang, but she has to deal with. So here we are asking for this variance, and I know I'm definitely not one to come in and ask for forgiveness after the fact, but I wasn't involved between 2017 and 2020, and I'm really here to help facilitate because of the language barrier. So with that, I will request that the commission take a little bit of leniency on Ms. Zhang, because I do think that whoever she talked to about putting in this foundation, again, there was a language barrier. Any builder should have known to come to the town, pull a building permit. If they had pulled a building permit, they would have known they would have needed a variance or at least site plan approval. None of that was done. I believe, and I can't say for sure, that what happened is Ms. Zhang paid a contractor to build a garage, not knowing, not understanding. Contractor took her money, put the garage in, never pulled a permit, and kind of took advantage of her. So I know that's not really in your purview, but I think there are extenuating circumstances here, both with the property, the language barrier, and what's happened. So I'll turn it back over to the commission. If I can answer any questions, I will.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to go right at it. Where's the hardship?
Well, the hardship is in the configuration of the lot, the orientation of the house, which was built long before Mrs. Zhang purchased it. So these are all existing conditions. It is in the land itself. Yes, and I admit she could do a detached garage, but a detached garage isn't necessarily the best thing for, for a home, because obviously you have to go park in your garage, then get out in the weather and everything else. But I can't make an excuse. I understand what you're saying, and I agree. And most times, as this commissioner and Ms. Torrey will know, if I don't think there's a possible hardship, I won't even come in front of the commission. I'll let my client do it. I'm really here to facilitate. So again, Mr. Chairman, I hear what you're saying, and I understand what you're saying, and I have no defense to that question, other than this is an existing lot, this is the way it's configured, and this is the way what we ended up with.
Right. I mean, I understand. I hear where you're coming from, and I can probably relate or understand probably how it got there. Mm-hmm. So I'm not, but again, there are options. If they wanted a two-car garage to put one on this property.
I do understand.
So with that being said, I'm having a hard time with this one, only because there are options. In the plan, is that point in the backyard, is that the well?
Right behind the house, where that 114 contour wraps around, is dead in the middle of the back of the yard, yes. And it does drop off from there. I looked at our work map earlier today, and it does continue to drop off. I have not really investigated it because we weren't dealing with the backyard back when we did the boundary stakeout, other than do the lines and obviously for the zoning location survey to document the garage. We really didn't investigate the rear portion of the yard. There may be wetlands on the property. I don't know, to be honest. But again, that's neither here nor there.
I mean, there still could be an option possibly in the back of the house attaching it. I don't know the configuration of the house, but I'm just saying, and even where the well is, to me, it looks like you probably still could put a garage back there.
It would be tight, because even without footing drains, we have to be 10 feet off that well, minimum by health code. So to try to be 10 feet and sandwich ourselves between the house and the well, I do understand, and it's another way to look at it, and I do appreciate it, but I think trying to fit it might be a little difficult, but it's an option. I do acknowledge that.
Anybody got any questions? Karen?
I do. Is this on? Yes. A couple of questions. Good evening. I thought you said on that map you had marked where one could be on the southern side of the house, and I can't see it from here. I didn't know if you could point it out.
Yes. I basically traced the existing garage footprint. It's in red, and now that I see even from here, I have a hard time seeing
Yeah.
it as well.
Okay.
I just placed it on the southern side of the house to show that if anyone had thought, well, put it on the south side, I would have been over the setback as well. So,
Okay.
as Mr. Russick pointed out, really, the option is a detached garage further back in the lot and dealing with the well and setbacks as well.
Now, I thought you said when you were first going through your presentation that it really wasn't doable in the backyard because of the well and because of a drop-off. But then I thought I heard you say after that yes, the backyard could accommodate
No.
a garage. So I'm just trying to reconcile, could it or could it not?
Theoretically, it could. And I say theoretically only because once we move to behind the house, as Ms. Torrey will obviously point out, we don't have to worry about the side yard setback as much. We can get closer to the property line. We can do that. It's getting to the backyard that I have a little bit of difficulty because on the southern side, where there is no existing foundation, just to orient ourselves, we have to come around the deck. We have a steep slope up to the neighboring property, so we're dealing with grades, and then it continues to drop off to the back of this property. So we also have to stay, a minimum of 10 feet off the well. I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm just saying, well, I'm going to say it can be done. Engineering-wise, theoretically, it can be. The issue here is we have an existing foundation. I've been asked to come to the commission and request the variance with what was already built.
So I have one last question.
Sure.
This foundation is for a two-car garage?
Yes.
If it were reduced, I realize the foundation is already poured, but if it were reduced to one car, would we be within the boundaries, the setbacks?
No. No. We would, on the back side of the proposed garage, we would, but on the front, we'd still be over that side yard setback, so we would still need a variance. It wouldn't be the 15.5. It may be 24, 25, and I'm guessing, because I don't have it drawn out, obviously, but we would still be over the setback and need a variance, even if it was a one-car garage.
Could you put a one-car garage in the rear easier than a two-car garage?
I don't think putting it in the rear, you mean the rear attached to the rear of the house?
No,
or
not attached, a detached. No.
I don't think it would matter whether it's one or two. Getting back there and,
It'd be difficult either way.
I'm not going to say it would be difficult because I think it's doable, but I don't think it matters whether it's one car or two car, and truthfully, for the expense, if you're going to build a garage, you might as well build a two-car garage, so.
That's it, thank you.
Amy, before we continue our discussion, do you have anything to add about this whole?
I'm concurring with Mr. Giuliano, where an alternative for an attached garage on the opposite end of the house is going to run into the same issue. I just want to clarify and in my own staff comments, this is not a zoning violation to have a foundation. This was, as Mr. Giuliano was surmised, the lack of a building permit to erect a garage, perhaps not and it was halted. So one can have a foundation to nowhere. Doesn't require zoning approval. One can move their driveway. Does not require zoning approval. So those things are, so the house currently is not, just to clarify, we are not in violation, but to erect something on said foundation would require the variance approval. So you're strictly looking at structure, appropriateness, and hardship or lack thereof as presented. But I just want to clarify that and the applicant, Mrs. Zheng, has been quite persistent trying to do this the right way. So here we are.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ray. Ray has a question.
Do we have any idea what the height of this garage is going to be? Is it going to be the same height of the house? Is it going to be lower? Is there going to be living space above it?
That I don't know, but in the interest of knowing where you're going with the question, I would hope that it's going to be a lower level, meaning just for the garage height. Oh, we have plans. Okay, thank you. It looks like the height of the roof will match the existing house, from what I'm looking at
it's
here.
gonna be
And
even.
above the garage, it's noted as a bonus room. So if you want, I'll give these to you for a moment to digest.
Is that appropriate or? We'll pass this. Yeah.
Karen, do you need to see that? It's gonna be a room above it.
I don't think it does.
So it's gonna be a bonus room of some sort on top.
That's what I read on the plans as well, yes. I mean, I can understand that if you're going to go through the expense of building a garage to go up, match the roof, cost and expense, I do understand that. I just wasn't aware those plans existed until tonight, so I apologize if I misspoke at first, Mr. Rise.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep. Yeah. Are you gonna submit any of these? One of these?
Consider them submitted.
Huh?
Why don't you just consider, because I handed them in, so we can give one copy to Amy
Well,
for the file.
there's three. You're gonna submit these? Oh, okay. All right, thank you. So I still stand on, I'm having a hard time with the hardship. So, has anybody got anything further before I go out to the public? Is there anybody here to speak in favor of this application? Is there anybody here to speak against this application? Please come forward. You can use that microphone and state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Debbie Mishler. I reside at 604 Williams Road. I submitted a letter today, and I'd like to read it.
Okay.
I am the owner of the northerly neighboring property. I am the neighbor that is directly affected by this request. I've owned my property since 2007. One of the most significant features for me when I purchased this property was the privacy it afforded, given the lot size and the setback requirement in this RU40 zone. Before you tonight is an application that does not meet any of the legal requirements for granting such an application. As you know far better than I do, the hardship required for a variance to be granted must originate in the zoning ordinance and arise directly from the application of the ordinance to circumstances or conditions beyond the control of the party involved. The concept that the grounds for a variance must arise from circumstances beyond applicant's control is related to the concept that the variances cannot be granted for a self-created hardship, where, as here, the alleged hardship is self-created. The ZBA cannot properly grant a variance. Applicant wants a two-car garage on the opposite side of her driveway, built over a foundation that was illegally installed. Clearly, there are many locations on her parcel where she could construct a garage, such as a freestanding garage, that does not need a variance. Self-created hardship is not a sufficient reason for a variance because the hardship does not arise from the application of the zoning regulations per se, but from the zoning regulations coupled with an individual's personal needs, preferences, and circumstances. This is a quote from the 1972 Connecticut Supreme Court case of Garibaldi versus ZBA of Norwalk, 163 Connecticut 235, 239. I also want to comment on the application itself. Interestingly, it identifies the current side yard setback at 15.5 feet from my property based on an existing foundation. Mrs. Torrey can tell you that the foundation was illegally built within the required side yard without proper authority. The granting of this variance would be a reward for someone who acted outside of the legal process, which I would think is not something that you want to do. Lastly, I've spoken with a local realtor after she viewed my property who advises me that a construction of a garage so close to my property line will have a deleterious effect on the privacy my property currently enjoys and on the value of my home. I have a letter to that effect if the commission would like to see a letter from a real estate agent from Century 21. I am not sure a requirement from the ZBA that applicant plant at least 8 fast-growing arborvitae trees along our common border will give me the privacy that a 30-foot side yard provides. Please consider my concerns with your decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else here to speak against this application? Hearing none. Do you, Mr. Giuliano, you have anything else you want to add?
No, I do not.
Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing and open it up for discussion and possible action by the board. Just a reminder to everybody, all motions will be made in affirmative, we're going to make a motion to approve, and then it's either up or down. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve a variance request for a side yard of 15.5 feet, where 30 feet are required to construct an attached garage at 600 Williams Road, as shown on zoning location survey, land of Leon Zheng, dated 8/24/2020, subject to comments by the building officials received October 20th, 2021, and comments from the Health Department received November 8th, 2021. So moved.
I second that motion.
Motion to approve, Mr. Carmody.
No.
Mr. Wolfer. No to approve. Mr. Rice.
No to approve.
Ms. Harris.
No to approve.
Chairman Russick.
No to approve.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next application is 21-031, special exception request for Casatana Greenhouses, 180 New Cheshire Road. That's Meriden, by the way. Staff comments are applicant requests special exception approval to erect a solar array of ground-mounted solar panels at 180 New Cheshire Road in an RU40 district. Parcel is, looks like less than a 54-acre farm. Proposed location is not proximity to any neighboring properties. The board should consider size, location, height, screening, and technical specifications of array as it applies to the parcel. Welcome. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Cormac Seyfried from Pure Point Energy. We reside at 22 South Smith Street in Norwalk, Connecticut.
Go ahead.
We are proposing to do a ground mount system at a farm on 180 New Chester Road, Meriden, Connecticut. We are requesting a approval for this in order to get the special exemption and build this. I think it's a great opportunity for this farm to do. It's going to generate a lot of clean energy for them. And I'm happy to answer any and all questions that you have about it.
Okay, as I see in the aerial view, it's just going in that open field, correct?
Correct.
Now, as you're looking down at it, what's to the left? Is that ground plantings, or are those,
Directly to the left, meaning the north side of it, or the?
yeah, the north or the west side, whatever?
All right, that is just open grass.
That just open?
Yep, that's just in the middle of a field.
Okay. Well, it looks like it might be, is that, I'm looking at the aerial view
Which one?
picture here.
Oh, let me pull that up. I apologize.
So it is,
Oh, okay, I see
so
what you're saying.
you're going to be going in between these two areas. To the left, if you're looking down at the picture, what is that planting area, or is those greenhouses?
Just making sure I know which one you're talking about. You're talking about the structure on the bottom left
Yes,
here?
that. So if you're looking down at it to the left,
Yes.
those black squares,
I am not 100% sure about that. I believe they are. However, I cannot confirm.
all right. And how many arrays are we putting up?
There are 5 in total.
And how many panels in each array?
To go through them, so there are 4 arrays of 90 panels and 1 array of 51 panels.
And how big are we talking? Like one array, 90 panels.
Yep.
How big are we talking?
It's about 103 feet wide and about 28 feet long. And so an array of 5 of them is about, a little bit more than 100 feet wide and a little bit less than 200 feet long.
Okay. And how high off the ground are they?
They are, they're about 12 and a half feet at the top.
At the top, on the angle.
On the end, yep, on the high point.
High point, 12 and a half feet? Okay. So what's your estimation are they going to generate kilowatt hour?
In total, the system is a 184.95 kilowatt system. I don't have the exact estimate on what our estimated annual production is, but for a system of this size, it's going to be quite substantial.
So now, this is just for them?
Correct.
So this is not going to, it's going to go into their metering, which would still go back into the grid somehow?
Yes.
correct?
Yeah, it does have net metering.
Okay. All right. Any battery backup with this?
No battery backup.
So there's no storage? This is just, sun's out, they're going to use it, cloudy, there's nothing to be used?
Yep. So this is a big farm with a greenhouse. This is going to be used to power their greenhouse.
Anybody got any questions? Karen, you look like you want to ask a question.
Yes, am I on? I am on. Yes, I just wondered, will these be visible from anyone else's property?
That I am not 100% sure of. Can't
Doesn't
really
look to
answer
me.
to any
I don't,
certainty.
that farm is tucked on the other side of the airport, and there's So if you're going up Chimney Hill, and if you look to the right, you can't even see it,
Okay.
as far as I know.
I wouldn't
I
think,
don't think, I don't think you really can see it. I don't even know if you went to the north side of Meriden and came in, if you know, the other side of the airport and looked back, I don't know how much you'd see.
so
But
we'd
I
have to
mean,
go up in a plane if.
So,
to
so
see it.
the whole thing is that, realistically, the airport's got it. The other side of the road, the dump's got it.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Is there anybody here to speak in favor of this application? Anybody here to speak against this application? Seeing and hearing none? You got anything else you'd like to add?
No, sir.
I'm going to close the public hearing and open up for discussion and possible action by the board.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion for special exception request for ground-mounted solar array at 180 New Cheshire Road as shown on solar PV project for Casatano's greenhouses. 184.95 kilowatt DC photovoltaic PC system at 180 New Cheshire Road, Meriden, Connecticut by Pure Energy Point, dated October 9th, 2021. So moved.
Second.
Motion to approve, Mr. Carmody.
Yes, to approve.
Mr. Wolfer.
Yes, to approve.
Mr. Rice.
Yes.
Ms. Harris.
Yes, to approve.
And Chairman Russick.
Yes to approve. The application's been approved.
Awesome. Thank you.
So, we have the schedule, our calendar for next year. Everybody got that? Does anybody have any questions, or anybody want to make any changes? Does anybody want to add more dates?
Yeah. We meet twice a month.
You may have to sometimes.
So, can I get a motion to accept the minutes?
Accept the minutes, or?
I mean, not the minutes, I'm sorry. Accept the calendar, schedule for next year. The 2022 schedule of meetings, Wallingford Zoning Board of Appeals, I'm sorry.
Make a motion to accept the 2022 schedule of meetings for the Wallingford Zoning Board of Appeals.
I'll just do an all in favor. All in favor?
Aye.
It passes. Consideration of the October 18th, 2021 meeting. Anybody got any questions about the minutes? Tom, you usually
We
read.
missed you, Mr. Chairman. We missed you.
You certainly did.
You're probably the only one.
No one more than Ray.
Make a motion to accept as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, now down to the last thing. I want to thank Sam. He has been elected to the town council. I wish him well. I know he will do well. I appreciate every minute he was here. He had a lot of positive input, very good to work with, and I'm going to miss him. Although sometimes his text took 2 or 3 days to get to me, but I'm only kidding. Sam, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for being on the
Congratulations,
ZBA and being a positive and you know, everybody here works so good together. We're going to miss you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Congratulations.
I really appreciate it. And I just looked up when I was appointed to the ZBA, and it was January 2018. I can't believe it's been nearly 4 years, and it's
Time goes by.
It's been a great pleasure working with all of you, especially you, Mr. Chairman, Ms. Torrey. I really appreciate the opportunity to have served with all of you.
Thank you. You made it that much better. I appreciate it, really do. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's it. So keep your paperwork for